Good evening, Fantasy Fanatics, and welcome to Week 3. We're going to change up our format a little bit, so I hope you enjoy it. We're going to start out with picks, quarterback all the way down through defense. We're going to go to a wild card pick, which our producer is going to at random choose. That is going to end up being our competition for the week. Then we're going to mix things up a little bit. We're going to have a recipe of the week brought to you by Curtis Painter over here. And I am going to pick a beer of the week to go with that recipe. But first of all, we have a special guest tonight, and that is Brian Smith. If you'll pan over to Brian. Brian, say hello. Brian is in our fantasy football league. Brian is currently 1-1. By the way, Curtis and myself are both 2-0. So we're leading our respective divisions. Brian had a rough week 1, I believe. Is that true, Brian?
No, I was the high point scorer of the league.
Oh, for week 1. But what happened this last week?
I lost to a very tough team by 13 points.
Oh, that is rough. That is rough. Okay, so we're going to start off. Brian's going to help us tonight with our picks. He's also going to provide some critique to us. He, like me, never played professional football. He's been playing fantasy football for several years.
Correct.
And has developed quite a reputation as an iron fist coach and owner in fantasy. So, Curtis, first pick for this week. Full lineup, QB, go.
Let me just note that my quarterback picks the last couple weeks have been pretty on point. So
Curtis, all of your quarterbacks last week scored well over 22 points.
I'm going to keep it rolling this week with a guy that is off the radar. Actually just picked him up in my fantasy team, Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton.
Under the radar, playing consistent, takes control of the ball. He's going to score some points this week.
He's a dynamite ginger.
He is a dynamite ginger. And you know what? Speaking of pickups, I did follow your advice and picked up Tyrod Taylor yesterday. So he's going to be a great addition to my team. All right, with running back number 1, I'm going to come in and say you got to go with one of these two Dallas Cowboys. It's either Joseph Randle or Darren McFadden. You know, they're going to run the ball a lot with Romo being out. Atlanta's coming to Dallas. I think they're going to put the ball in the hands of Darren McFadden. I think he's going to have a monster game. So running back 1, Darren McFadden. Curtis?
Running back 2, Le'Veon Bell. First week back, I think he's just ready to explode. So look for him to score some points this week. Brian, what do you think about that pick?
I think Le'Veon Bell's a fantastic pick. I really look for Le'Veon Bell to have a breakout week for Pittsburgh this week. He's just riding the pine. He's ready to get on the field.
He's ready for it.
He is.
He is.
He is.
All right, so Le'Veon Bell. For wide receiver number 1, we're going to go with Larry Fitzgerald. Now, I still got a win last week, but I wanted to rest Fitzgerald. So I left him on my bench, and he came through with 30 points. Didn't need him last week, but I'm going to need him this week.
That's a solid bench player.
Yeah, well, San Francisco's coming into Arizona. San Francisco is 28th against giving up the most points against wide receivers, so I believe Fitzgerald is going to be the wide receiver number 1 of choice this week. Curtis, wide receiver number 2.
I'm going to go with Antonio Brown. I have him on my fantasy team. Every week he keeps making plays. Roethlisberger's playing well. I just got to keep riding him. Until he leads me astray, I'm going to ride him. Antonio Brown, my wide receiver number 2.
Got it. With the tight end, we're going to go with Jordan Reed. I'm going to let Brian tell me a little bit about what he thinks about Jordan Reed. The reason I went with him, though, is Washington is coming in at Houston, but Houston is 28th, giving up points to tight ends. And Kirk Cousins is starting to come around and really understand and fill his position. They put the Robert Griffin nonsense behind him, and I think Kirk Cousins is the man. So he's going to hit Jordan Reed quite a bit this week.
I think you've got an aggressive pick there. I really do. I think Jordan Reed's a decent tight end, but I don't see a good offensive play out of Washington. I think that they're riding the running backs between Matt Jones and Alfred Morris. I don't like the consistency at the quarterback position. I think that's a stretch. But let's see how it plays out for you.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy my aggressiveness.
Love the input.
All right, to the flex, we're going to do something we haven't done in the last 2 weeks, so we're going to turn over here to our guest, and our guest is going to give us our first flex pick of the week.
I'm glad you guys gave this to me because you guys have missed the primary player out there that I think is going to be the player of the week. It's Adrian Peterson.
Hey.
He's up against San Diego. I think he's going to beat that defense like a misbehaving 4-year-old, and he's going to run wild on him.
That's a very good pick. I'll tell you, I went with Adrian Peterson the first week, and it didn't pan out too well for me. I think he had 10 points, had about 12 yards rushing, But we'll see if he comes through for you this week, and I wish you the best of luck with that.
I'll
And
tell
right
you-
back to you, I'll tell you, can you give us a kicker?
Yeah, I'll give you a kicker. Now, it's not much of a reach, but New England is playing Jacksonville. Anytime you play Jacksonville, I think of three things: touchdowns, extra points, and field goals. And typically, it's Jacksonville making the field goals. I think Steven Gostkowski is going to have a fantastic game, playing at home, running the Jags out of the building, and it's just going to be a long day for that Jaguars offense and defense.
I think that's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah.
Curtis, I want you to take us down and close us out with our picks with the defense of the week.
My defense of the week. Again, I got to go off a little bit of history here. The last couple weeks, they've held the team in position to win the games. That's the Broncos. They're playing a
Well, you know, I love that pick.
I knew
anytime
the
you make
homer would be happy, but they're playing Detroit, banged up quarterback. I just think they're going to have a lot of success, and they're going to keep riding the defense on to a victory this week.
Now, did you know that Detroit has beat Denver 2 of the last 3 times they've played?
I did not know that.
That's a fun little fact. It may sway a little bit, but you've already made your pick, and
Yeah,
I think
I
that's a
made my
good
pick.
one. So roll up. Andy Dalton, quarterback. Running back 1, Darren McFadden, then Le'Veon Bell. Larry Fitzgerald and Antonio Brown are your wide receivers for the week. Jordan Reed is your tight end. Your flex, picked by Brian Smith, is Adrian Peterson. Steven Gostkowski is going to be our kicker. I probably didn't say that right, but that's coming. Those 2 picks from our 1-1 brother over here, who's not too bad. It's better than being 0-2. And then finally, the defense comes to the Broncos. So now we're going to add a little something new. This is what we're going to call our wild card pick of the week. Our producer, Graham, is going to name a position, and then we have 10 seconds each to pick that player. Then we'll all 3 go head-to-head with that guy's points this week, drink a choice to the winner next week. So, Graham, what do we got?
Defense.
Defense. Let's go.
I'm going to go with the Rams defense.
The Rams defense for Curtis. I tell you what, I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks. And the reason I'm going with Seattle is Chicago's coming in there, and Seattle's fired up. They're 0-2. They're going to be ready to make some money, and I think they're going to score some big points.
That's a solid pick.
Brian Smith, what's your pick?
Those are 2 solid picks. I think I already gave my tell. I think the Patriots are going to have a big week. I think that Patriots D is just going to beat Jacksonville up. So let's see what happens.
I like it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I think that's going to be some pretty good competition right there with Rams, Seattle, and Patriots. All right, so now we're going to switch this up just a little bit, and Brian's going to help us here too. Curtis, somewhat of a cook. Me and Brian, we're pretty good grillers. I think we hold our own.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Hold our own in grilling, but Curtis can actually cook. So Curtis, give us a recipe that these fine fantasy fanatics can cook this week and enjoy as they watch a little NFL.
You know what? To save a little time on the video here, I'm just going to have you tune in on Instagram to painted_palate. P-A-L-A-T-E. That was a recipe tonight. Grilled chicken on there, a little bit of Brussels sprouts. Check it out. Serve it for your wife.
And I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a beer to pair with that, and that's the Soul Style IPA, brewed in San Francisco, Green Flash Brewing Company. It's got 3 types of hops, Simcoe, Citra, and Cascade. A lovely reddish golden brown, a fruity hoppy flavor. Brian, can you suggest anything to go with him?
You know, anytime you have chicken and you've got a fruity hoppy flavor with your beer, I like to think of movies. You know, and I think given our football theme of the week here, you have to go with The Longest Yard. I think it's time to go in a classic and go Longest Yard with our grilled chicken and our beer of the week, Andy Dalton.
All right. Well, that's Andy Dalton Beer of the Week. I'll tell you what, Fantasy Fanatics, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at PH_fantasy and Instagram as well, and check out our YouTube channel. Curtis, any closing remarks?
Good luck this week.
Brian Smith, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you back next week. Hopefully, we will have been victorious, but if you are, good luck.
Hey, I expect to be back here.
Thank you very much.